Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's been a while since we talked a little bit about Malifaux tactics and strategies and some of the crews, and I've been meaning to start this series for some time, but you know, I've been working on a lot of painting and the club stuff and so forth. But today what I'd like to do is kind of kick off our series, or the series that I'm working on for the new Arcanist 10 Thunder Master, Mei Feng. And I'm calling this series Yes You May, because you know, that's kind of my conclusion with this master. She's a very versatile master. She allows you to do a lot of different things, and my main thing with her is she's a lot of fun. Now, me personally, I haven't really I don't really consider myself an expert on Mei Feng. She really hasn't been out long enough, nor has all of the models that are available for her to hire. Not all of them are released at this point. But, you know, I do feel that I've learned a bit by playing her for some time, since Gen Con anyway, since I brought her home and painted her. And I feel like there may be some basics here that we can share. Again, not an expert on Mei Feng, but you know, you might be able to glean something from these videos and with the associated articles on SoCalMalifaux.com. So first up, I guess we would start at the very beginning. Mei Feng, as the box set that I have here, this is her starter set, comes with 3 rail workers, her totem, the Emberling, and it comes with Kang in addition to Mei Feng. Why would you take Mei Feng? What are some of the things that I think she does particularly well? Well, in my opinion, Mei Feng is she's a mobility slash group attack model. She's as a master, she relies on the synergy of her crew to help get her around the board, possibly provide some buffs to her, and they give her some mobility, they give her some additional hitting power, and that's really what she likes to do. She likes to get in, hit some targets, light some things up, and then get out before the enemy can really do things to her. That's one way you can play her. Another way you can play her is a more tanky style, and we'll talk about how changing up these her, what we would call her base minions, how that changes her crew, and even changing her maybe her second hitter, what options that opens up for her. In addition, she is a dual faction Arcanist 10 Thunders master, and that opens up even more possibilities. So if you are coming from the Arcanist faction, you will probably feel very comfortable starting her off as one of your Arcanist crews, which is what I did. I started her off as an Arcanist crew, but as time goes on, you may want to try playing her as 10 Thunders, because the options do change a bit, your tactics will change a bit, and it's kind of a fun way to revisit this crew and learn more as you're playing it. So, as part of this intro, we're going to start at the very beginning, which is her starter box. Thankfully, that's where you start, and luckily, this box can be taken as either Arcanist or 10 Thunders. You can play it if you are playing in an tourney as Arcanist, for example. You could play this crew as is, same as if it were 10 Thunders. It's when you start to change in different minions into the crew that you know, you are going to lean one way or the other. And you know, if you're like me and you like to mix it up quite a bit, you will freely play her as both factions, and my hope in playing her is that I get comfortable playing her as either faction. Now, again, looking at the box set, this is 3 rail workers, Kang, and an Emberling. Well, that totals out to exactly 25 soul stones, which is perfect, and that's probably where you're going to want to start playing her. When she gets released, you are going to want to look at those other boxes that are coming out, that are, you know, sort of aimed directly at her, if you will, but can be taken with Arcanist or 10 Thunders. things like Metal Gammon. The Rail Golem in particular is a huge pickup for her, and Willy. So those are the other new releases. The Rail Golem is out right now, and I believe Willy is. I don't believe the Metal Gammon are out yet, but when those do come out, I highly recommend picking them up, because they will help you when you start looking at options for this crew and when you're building off of the basic box set. Alright, so first up, let's just start with Mei Feng herself. And that will lead to some discussions of what are some of the strategies that you hire Mei Feng for, and what do you build into her crew. Now, the first thing that might come to mind when you're looking at the Mei Feng card for the very first time is the ridiculous amount of triggers that she has. Mei Feng has 6 triggers associated with actually 7 different abilities. That's just looking at the front. If you actually read some of the descriptions in her spells, you can see that she will get additional triggers or additional abilities out of those spells. So for example, you may have a Tiger Claw attack that may allow you to cast Vent Steam. When you cast Vent Steam, that may allow you to cast Superheat. Things like that. So Mei Feng, considered alone, is all about triggers, additional abilities, and you know, what we like to say, combos. She really is all about the combos. Another thing you might notice about her is that she is kind of a stat beast, especially when you compare her to the rest of the Arcanist faction. You know, she's got some average stats, but there's not a lot. Her average stats would be like her walk charge and her height. And basically everything else is either above average or pretty good. Oh, well, I'm sorry, average wounds for a master as well. She has a cache of 5, which is the highest of the Arcanist masters, which is great. You know, most Arcanists don't hit anything above 4, so there's an advantage there. She has, she looks like a pure melee beast. She's got a couple of paired Tiger Claws, and her Jackhammer Kick with a broad 3-inch melee range. So you can glean some stuff from there. Already we're thinking, okay, she's a master that can get in, trigger a lot of things to happen. She uses her melee attacks. She does things like, you know, do an attack to hand out burning tokens. She can also vent steam, which can cause a bunch of other things to happen. And she's really about combos. So one of the main takeaways that you might have when you're looking at Mei Feng and you're looking at starting Mei Feng is she is going to require some planning. You are going to have to think ahead about what types of combos you're going to want to do, and typically you're going to have to do that on your feet when you're staring down at the board in a live game situation. You know, it's nice to have things planned out in advance, like, okay, I'm going to Rail Walker Terminus, that's going to give me Jackhammer Kick, that's going to give me my armor, then I'm going to go ahead and do a Tiger Claw Strike, and that's going to give a burning token, allow me to cast Vent Steam, or allow me to attack another target. So these are the kinds of things that are going through your head when you're, or should be going through your head when you are playing Mei Feng. Now, that is probably the heart of why I call this Yes You May, but I would also caution that yes, you may screw up. That's one thing that new players with Mei Feng are going to have to learn the hard way is, yes, there are 1001 things that you can do with Mei Feng, but 500.5 of them are things that are going to screw you up. So if you have things like your sequencing off, or if you have your suits improperly set up when you are trying to do your attack runs, if you don't activate your models in the correct order, all of these things can go wrong. Now, Mei Feng, stat beast that she is, the kinds of buffs that she can hand out to herself and her crew, yes, those are all amazing. But if you don't have things properly planned out, if you aren't approaching the game from a thinky mindset and you're just trying to spam the same attack over and over again, that's not going to work with her. If you want her to tank, you have to play a certain way with certain minions and certain positioning to give her the ability to withstand the kind of damage that Mei Feng will inevitably draw from the attention that she gains when she's attacking so many things and causing so many things to happen. So there's no passive defenses with Mei Feng. That's one of the vulnerabilities of her. No passive defenses, no defensive triggers. A lot of combat masters, which is a hallmark of a lot of combat masters, and that's what helps combat masters stay in combat. Another thing you might notice about Mei Feng is, she doesn't have any easy ways to get at healing. However, when you go 10T, we'll talk about some of the options that she might have there. So with Mei Feng, the whole thing is you can't really think passive. And with her crew, you really have to think about the order, the sequence of events that need to happen. You have to think about the activation order, and winning initiative is critical for Mei Feng. One of the things that I found is the games where I struggle with Mei Feng are where I lose initiative at critical times, because that means that my combos aren't set up. That means I could lose critical things like rail walk points, or I could lose armor 2. I don't have armor 2 or vent steam up when the turn begins. So winning initiative is very important for her. Okay, so what are some of the strategies that you might typically take Mei Feng for? Because for me, it seems like there are a number of things that you may do with her, but she may not be spectacular at some, or incredibly poor at others. The fact is, she's a very balanced master when played properly, and she can get a number of the strategies done. There really isn't one particular strategy that she's going to struggle with the possible exception of maybe Reconnoiter, because most small count crews are going to struggle with Reconnoiter. And the reason why I call her a small count crew is I'm really making the assumption that we're playing basic 5 Soulstone or higher cost significant models. So unlike some of the other factions like Guild or Resurrectionists that can get very cheap significant models, even Neverborn has like Insidious Madness and Terratots and that sort of thing, which are cheap and significant. Mei Feng can't really rack up a very high body count for her crew. But she does a number of things well. She'll perform very well in the movement-based strategies, the score now situations as I like to call them, like destroy the evidence, plant evidence, deliver a message. She's fantastic at that. Treasure hunt, very good at treasure hunt. So she's going to do well with most strategies. It's just a matter of having the planning down correctly, and really, honestly, it's about playing her correctly. Playing against Mei is more about looking for opportunities, looking at vulnerable times during the game where you can hit her and hit her hard. Because like I said, she can be a very defensive master, but she has to set up for it. She has to plan for it. And if you catch her at certain moments during the game, she's going to be very vulnerable. So strategies, I mean, Mei Feng is, as an Arcanist, or even as a 10 Thunders, she's one of those that I consider for just about every strategy. For Slaughter, she's going to be fine. For all of those other strategies, she will be fine also. Now, let's talk about schemes. Now, Mei Feng has she does have her master-specific theme, which is a scheme, which is a very fun scheme called Alternate Route. And in her scheme, this you basically pick one table edge, and then you take as the entry point, and you take the opposite table edge on the opponent's side of the board as the exit point, and all significant models in your crew gain a 0 action to drop a piece of railroad. And at the end of the game, you need to make it from one point, the entry point, to the exit point, with railroad pieces no further than 6 inches apart. This is a very fun strategy, and it's fairly feasible with her. You may struggle at lower soulstone games, so I don't recommend it below anything, say, less than 25 or 30, but it's a very fun theme. And again, because she's dual faction, you'll have access to, if you play her 10 Thunders, you'll have access to the 10 Thunder schemes, which are fairly good for her, but depending on her crew build. And if you play her as an Arcanist, she'll have access to Arcanist schemes. And she's very good at Sabotage, which is, one of our easiest kind of gimme schemes for Arcanists. And she can also play Power Ritual reasonably well. She can play that better than, maybe half the other Arcanist masters out there.